If you've watched our channel for a while, you know I love to do all these little DIY projects and share them with you guys. And for the most part, those have held up well under the rigors of travel on our horrible, horrible interstate system. I mean, it's bad out there, guys. This thing gets beat to crap every time we travel. But these three projects that I'm going to share with you did not hold up, and I have to go back and make some follow-up repairs. Our first project redo repair is our bed, or more specifically, the hinge and strut system that lifts the bed so that we can get in there to store stuff. You might remember a while back, I upgraded or replaced our gas struts with 120-pound struts. I don't know what the originals were, but I replaced them to better accommodate our heavier mattress. What I didn't upgrade when I upgraded those struts were the hinges. I didn't really consider that and think about the fact that with heavier struts in there, more powerful struts, it's got more force on it all the time. So even while you're lying there, it's trying to push the top of the bed out. That combined with all the vibrations from driving down the road and just from sleeping on the bed caused those hinges to rip out. So I have two things that I want to address in this fix. It's going to be a fix and an upgrade. Number one, I obviously have to replace these hinges and reinforce that and fix that a little bit better than it was. Number two, I'm going to go from 120-pound struts to 150-pound struts. After using it a while and Tara got to using it, we realized it didn't have quite enough lift. It was definitely better than the original, but it didn't have quite enough lift to assist. And then also when you would lift it, it would you have to kind of hold it there for a second, let it settle, and then it would stay up. If you just lifted it and let go, it would fall. So I'm going to go from 120 to 150 and see if that's better. Step number one is to, of course, just remove the original hinges, pull the struts off so they're not trying to mess with me while I'm working on this, and just sort of evaluate and see what I need to do to get this fixed. I did, when evaluating this, consider using a piano hinge. I know a lot of you have said that you've used those. If you're not familiar with piano hinge, it's just like a really long hinge. I guess pianos use them, I don't know. Never worked on a piano. But this piano hinge, I like the idea that it's one long hinge, but most of those piano hinges are only about that wide, about an inch, inch and a half from the center of the hinge out both ways. And I just didn't like that it didn't have enough meat to grab and didn't go far enough into the wood to really kind of offset all that pressure right on the edge of the wood. So I perused the hinge area at Lowe's and found these really beefy door hinges. Now the ones I grabbed were stainless steel just because, but you can get them for about a third of the price if you just want to go with regular steel. No problem in that. Now one thing I noticed when I was kind of sizing up these hinges after I got them back here is I think one point of failure on this with the original hinges is the fact that if you look at how these hinges are mounted to the bed, the headboard side of the hinge goes nice into like nice 2x4s, while the foot side of that hinge of that particular area only goes into, I think it's about a 1-inch plywood. So it doesn't have as much to grab there. I looked through my wood scraps and I found a good section of 1x4 that I could put underneath there to give it a little more meat to grab into. I don't know if you've heard that term before, meat, when it comes to wood and stuff. Am I making that up, or have you guys heard of that? I don't know. You'll notice that I just kind of eyeball the measurements on this. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's up underneath. I also reach up under the bed with a Sharpie to mark the outsides of the bed frame on the other side, and then I flip it around to work on. Obviously, I need to know where those edges are because I don't want to be screwing stuff into the bed frame. Of course, I cut down that piece of wood, and then step two was to glue down that 1x4 piece of wood for reinforcement. You'll notice I almost made a critical error gluing this thing down. I originally lined it up flush on the edge and had it all glued and started to clamp it down. And then I looked again and pictured the thing flipping over in my mind and realized, just realized I have this lip here. This needs to go in. I got to put an offset in here to accommodate that 2x4. You'll notice that 2x4 extends underneath the hinge on purpose. That's because when you've got the bed closed, that hinge joint can sit on top of that 2x4 and support, of course, the weight of you on the bed, but the hinges and takes all the weight off the hinges. Otherwise, all that weight and all that torque would be just on the hinges. Once I noticed that, I measured the setback, which turned out to be about 3/4 of an inch. So I pushed the wood back a whole inch to give it an inch of setback and about a 1/4 inch of separation when the bed closes. Got that clamped down and just let it sit overnight. Step 3, the next morning, it's time to actually install the hinges. So I got the bed flipped back over into its normal operating configuration so I could install these hinges. My first step was to mark the edges of the bed frame so I don't screw into those. Again, I did this on both sides. I don't want to have any mistakes there. Screwing the top of the bed to the bed frame would negate the whole purpose of all of this. I decided to use 4 hinges instead of 3, so not only are these beefier, I've got more of them. I did this both because the spacing would make it better to not overlap where the current hinges were and where the wood was damaged, and also because 4 is bigger than 3. From here is where I got to be careful, and I took the time to precisely place each hinge so that the hinge is directly over the seam, and then I marked all of my holes. Now it's just a matter of drilling my pilot holes, being very careful to get the very center of each mark. If I don't center these properly, it's going to put torque and stuff on these holes and just really weaken the whole thing. I mean, with 4 hinges and 32 screws, a few screws torqued and less effective isn't a huge deal, but I like to be as accurate as I can here because I don't want to come back to this bed a 3rd time. I used the stainless steel screws that came with the hinges. They were perfectly fine and obviously perfectly matched up. And I think they're about 1.5 inches, so they got into the 1x4 really, really well. And then it was time to test it out. Easy peasy. Now it's time to move on to step 4, installing the new struts. The struts are the easiest part of this whole thing because just like last time when I upgraded to the 120-pound struts, these 150-pound struts just pop right onto the existing hardware. They're the same length, the same connection, and from there it's a matter of just putting the mattress back down and testing it under load. Moment of truth. Let's see how well this works in practice. This up nice and easy. Stays up, nice. I think that's perfect. Let's see if I can lift it with one finger. Not really. Let's try 2. There we go. 2 fingers. Bam, bam. I'm really happy with how all of this turned out. Disappointed that I didn't do it all the first time, but hey, what are you gonna do? A couple of side notes before I move on to the next project. Number 1 is the mattress. We have had our Mattress Insider mattress for, I think, 8, almost maybe over 8 years now, and we still love this thing. It is great. It is comfortable. It has 2 modes. One's a little stiffer than the other. This is me flipping the mattress in case you're wondering. But we have really, really loved our mattress. Now, some people will complain about the stock mattress that gets installed in every RV because they're crap. They're garbage. And honestly, this has been brought up to Grand Design at rallies and stuff, and it's kind of a joke. I don't really mind that it's a mattress. To me, this mattress is just a placeholder. This is just showing you where your mattress will go when you get a real mattress. Because yeah, we slept on the stock mattress for maybe 3 weeks. And at first we thought, oh, this isn't too bad. Man, that thing flattens out quick. Now, personally, I completely understand why manufacturers don't put in better mattresses, because if they did, it would be bigger and heavier and better, and it would still tick off about half of the people out there who would still replace it anyway. So the stock mattress is just a placeholder, and you're going to want to upgrade your mattress. If you're interested in what we have, I'll put a link down below, but we love our Mattress Insider mattress. The other thing of note is the pressure of the struts. I've seen online, and we've had a few discussions on our Insider Discord about this, and I was chatting with some people in there, and one person had gone from 150 to like 170 to 200 and settled on 200. So my point here is your mileage may vary. You're going to have different weights of mattresses, different weights of beds, and it's going to be different for everybody. So if you're going to do that upgrade and just replace those struts, it's super, super simple. But maybe if you're not sure, get a couple off Amazon, try them out, see which one works, and returns the one that you don't use. And if you do upgrade your struts, maybe take a look at your hinges and don't make the mistake that I did and wait till they rip out. My next bad engineering project is this thing right here. You've probably seen this hanging during the last project and wondering, what the heck is that? Well, when I put this in, this is our Wi-Fi access point that is up here connected to our Pepwave stuff in the back. And this allows us to reach our Wi-Fi in the RV from the truck. And because we now have Starlink in motion and our cellular, we can always have internet on the road, but that's beside the point. When I moved this, originally this was inside the duct, and the duct interfered with the radio in this because it has some kind of metal coating. And when I originally put this up here using command strips, some of you asked, how's that working? I tried that and it got too hot and fell off. And I said, oh, it's been great. And it was for a long time, but then eventually it ended up in this situation that you see right now. So I started thinking about a way to pop the case off, to put screws through the bottom of the case. And then I got to thinking, maybe this thing has a mounting bracket. So I went and looked it up on Mobile Must Have, and sure enough, it actually comes with a mounting bracket. And by some miracle, I found where I put it. That is incredible all by itself. Finding that bracket what made this whole project super, super simple. I just put in one screw because there's only a 2-screw deal there. Used my angle thingy to get the thing square, put in the other screw, clipped it in, jammed my wire up in there, and it was all good to go. Now, I have a caveat or note about this as well. I left that where it was because I already had a hole in our ceiling, so I was kind of stuck with that. But again, back to talking to our insiders, one of our insiders went the extra mile, and instead of dropping it through the ceiling, went all the way to the end of the duct and fished a line through there into the closet and mounted his access point in the closet. I really, really like that and wish I would have done that the first time, but now I got a hole in the ceiling, so I just left it. By the way, if you're curious about this inside lane in our insider Discord area that I keep talking about, I'll have links down below. This is just our insider program. If you're a member of our channel, you get access to our Discord. Not going to go on and on about it, but we talk about a lot of stuff on there, and I'm on there daily. So if you have questions, you want to chat about RV tech stuff or whatever, I'll have links down below so you can check that out. Last up in our journey down project failure lane is our washer and dryer stack fix. A while back, we had an issue where our dryer that stacked on top of our washer came loose and was basically just bouncing around in there. My fix at the time was to get some metal plates. They're kind of like straps plates. They're about that long with screw holes in them. And I just used self-tapping metal screws and attached those plates to the sides. And like these other fixes, it worked for a while and we thought it was great. Let's do it. Woo! Look at that. Nice. But later on, I noticed a couple of screws laying on the floor, and then I looked, and sure enough, the metal strap had come loose and the screws had come all the way out. They just vibrated right out. Now, I still liked the overall idea of this fix. Obviously, the screws by themselves were just not going to work. And I really, really liked the idea of using rivets here. I think they would work great. Plus, I've never used a rivet gun. I thought it would be fun. So I went to Lowe's and bought a rivet gun, a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. Right here, in fact. And then I was going through the process of trying to figure out how to get the washer and dryer moved out away from there so I could actually access the sides with that rivet gun. And it looked like it was going to be a huge, huge pain. But while I was looking for how to do this, the idea practically jumped up and bit me. When Grand Design put our washer and dryer in originally, they put dabs of silicone right on top of the screw heads to stop them from vibrating and backing out. Duh, I really wish I would have thought of this. That's super, super simple, super, super easy. So I'm going to have to put away my rivet gun for now and find somewhere else to rivet because this solution is just way too simple to pass up. So all I really did here was I backed out and took out my number 8 screws, and these screws are both 3/4 inch. I took out my number 8 screws, I put in some number 10 screws just so they'd be a little bit beefier. Then I went back with some silicone sealant and dabbed some on the head of each of them, making sure that it's nice and secure. Per usual, only time will tell if that fix, as well as the others we just covered, are going to stand up to the rigors of the violent earthquake that happens every time we travel with this RV. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you'll catch those updates. Please give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.